Hey there guys, and welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. This is it. Don't get scared now, and thank you so much for joining me for another live show because I enjoy doing this. It's magical, it's mystical, and thanks for being here. But with all that said today, we have some stuff we need to talk about, and then we'll dive into the movie questions and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. But the first bit of news I want to talk about, and hang on as I do something real quick, and I want to make sure this is working because I was having a lot of issues. Okay, it is working. Okay, so the first bit of movie news I want to talk about today is the DCEU. It's dead. Bury it. You remember that from Batman v Superman? Well, it's true. Since James Gunn has taken over, he's deciding to, he's like, you know what? Let's flush all this crap that's not working right down the toilet and just say goodbye to it. And for that, I applaud him because there's a lot of things going on in the DC universe that simply are not working. I don't want to see it go anywhere else. I don't need 4 more Wonder Woman sequels. I don't need more Aquaman sequels. I could give a shit less about The Flash, and if that movie ever comes out, which we are going to talk about it in just 1 second, and we're going to break down each and every single thing, but yeah, it's being reported since James Gunn has taken over, he wants to change a lot of things. Now, I would say the first thing he needs to change is his version of Suicide Squad, because that Suicide Squad movie that we got last summer, let's be honest, it wasn't that good. So hopefully they're rebooting that. And if they don't, I think that would be a little bit hypocritical of him taking over DC. But yeah, as far as the new report goes, it's all but confirmed that Wonder Woman 3 is not happening. Now, I don't think that's a real big surprise after that abomination against humanity known as Wonder Woman 2. That wasn't a real movie. I don't know what they were thinking, and I don't know how that got made. And I guess Patty Jenkins actually wrote a screenplay for Wonder Woman 3. Just 2 days ago, Gal Gadot came out on Twitter and said, hey, there's big things happening with Wonder Woman, but nothing's happening. It's canceled. We're not getting another Wonder Woman movie, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with rebooting the character in a year or two and going a different direction. But apparently, my theory in all of this is they decided to pull the trigger on all these big changes once they got the box office results back from Black Adam, which was a financial flop. According to who you ask, I will just use my own personal logic and say it was a flop. Now, if you look at The Rock's Twitter, he's going to deny that claim and say the movie made like $50 million. Listen, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not an accountant. And I think had you got rid of the marketing cost of Black Adam, then maybe it did make a small profit, but not enough to justify making another movie, especially another movie revolving around the character Black Adam and going forward. So yeah, I think that was the final catalyst to saying, you know what, this shit's just not working. We need to go a different direction. And as far as the film Black Adam goes, it's okay. Would I watch it again on a rainy night when I eat frozen pizza at 3 o'clock in the morning? Yes, I probably would. But if I do decide to do that, I'm going to skip over the first 20 minutes of the movie and just get into the good stuff. That's where I'm going to go with that. So, yeah, I'm going to blame Black Adam for all of this. Had that movie been financially successful and made $1 billion like they wanted it to, I don't think a lot of these things would be happening right now. Another thing that was mentioned was the upcoming Flash movie. Well, if you're looking forward to that, and hopefully, you know, Ezra Miller doesn't kill or kidnap anyone between now and the release date, apparently that was pushed up a week. So to not compete with the new Indiana Jones movie, well, they pushed it up a week so they can make a little bit of money. But the thing that really bothers me about all of this news, and the thing that I'm most let down by, was the Michael Keaton, my original Batman, who I grew up with, watching the original 89 Batman on VHS over and over again until it got stuck in my parents' VCR, and I had to use a pencil to pry it out, which broke the VCR, and my father got very mad at me that day. But that's not the point. The point was Michael Keaton was going to play a very large, pivotal, maybe not that large, but he was going to have a role in the upcoming Flash film playing Old Man Batman. And that is everything I've wanted for a very long time. So who knows if that's going to be cut out of the movie or they're going to cut his part to be smaller, because it was supposed to lead into an upcoming Batman Beyond film where Michael Keaton had a very large role in that. But apparently that's been scrapped as well, too, which that's the only negative I'm getting from all of this. But hopefully they do keep Michael Keaton's Batman cameos intact in the upcoming Flash movie. Also, Aquaman 2, probably not happening. Well, no, I'm sorry. Aquaman 2 is happening, but it'll be the last time we probably see Aquaman. There are some rumors flying around that they might recast him as Lobo in an upcoming Lobo solo movie. that's okay. Like, Lobo's okay. I think Jason Momoa would make a much better Lobo than he does Aquaman. But yeah, so Aquaman, the next one coming out, probably is the last time you'll see him as Aquaman. And then the report that was, and I have a theory about this as well. The only thing they go on to mention in the report was the thing that will remain intact with the DCEU is the Batman film starring Robert Pattinson. And it's being reported that Matt Reeves is writing a screenplay, the second installment right now. So here's my theory on why that's happening. First of all, the Batman, hey, if you don't love it, that's fine. I really enjoy it. It's definitely a flawed film, but at least it feels like a real film. You know, I can accept if a film is flawed as long as it feels like a movie. And the Batman feels like a movie. It feels like cinema. Sure, it could have been dwindled down and taken 20 minutes out of the runtime. But the reason I think they're leaving that intact for now is they have so many spin-off shows revolving around the Batman movie. They have Arkham. They have the Penguin HBO show that's supposed to come out. So I think because all of these things are in motion right now and they revolve and they need that solo Batman movie to continue, I think because those are going forward right now, that's why they're leaving that intact. There's just too many moving parts with that to get rid of that and take it right out of the DCEU right now. Does that mean we won't get a new version of Batman at some point? I would assume we probably will, because if it were me and I'm making a shared universe with Aquaman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, I don't think the version of Robert Pattinson's Batman lends itself to work in that universe. It works fine as a solo act. That's great. And speaking of solo movies, and by the way, guys, I'm just saying 90% of the stuff in my brain. I typed 3 notes. As far as the upcoming solo movies by the DCEU, that's what you need to focus on. Stop trying to connect all this shit and make it rely on everything else. Just focus on good stories. Focus on solo movies. Get that character across. Do what you did with the Batman. Do what you did with the Joker. Those both feel like real films. They don't just feel like digital content just spit out of Hollywood's mouth. That way they can connect the dots in a couple of years and have, oh, now there's 3 comic book characters in this movie. It'll make more money. No. Forget that shit, okay? I'm done with that. Just tell me a good story. Let me focus on one character. And if so happen Aquaman can show up and hang out with Batman in the movie and it makes for a better story, then I'm all for it. But don't just go out of your way to connect the dots to have a shared universe for the sake of having a shared universe. DC has tried that for the last 10 years. They've been throwing everything at the wall to see what kind of shit sticks, and not much of it has. The other big letdown from all of this, and speaking of Black Adam earlier on, and if you haven't seen Black Adam, well, I guess spoilers, but who really gives a shit? Henry Cavill came back as Superman, and I was really looking forward to that. If ever there was a perfect casting choice for Superman, it was Henry Cavill, and I enjoyed the 2013 Man of Steel film. I don't care what anyone says. I think that was a pretty decent take on Superman. Do I think it could be better? Sure. And was I looking forward to a sequel? Yes, I was. And it's been about, 9 years now. And we were sort of going that direction. They were announcing Henry Cavill's back. Henry Cavill himself said, yeah, I'm coming back. Nothing was written down on paper, but it was going that route. And now we're probably not getting another Man of Steel sequel, which is another letdown for me. I don't care about Wonder Woman. You can get rid of Aquaman. Ezra Miller as Flash. Don't care whatsoever. But Henry Cavill as Superman, give me more of that, please. So, yeah, it's a lot of crazy things happening. In my opinion, I think this is for the better because with the current state of the DCEU, let's be honest. If you like some of it, overall, it was a mess. And where was it leading? Nowhere. So they're going to crap out these few and final solo movies, make a few bucks, and start over and go a different direction. Which, by the way, if you watch these new upcoming movies like The Flash or Aquaman 2, it's sort of like, well, okay, well, that doesn't matter now. But that's okay. If they're slightly entertaining, at least we have those. So yeah, a lot of crazy things happening in movie news world. I'm curious to see where this all goes. It can only get better, right? And listen, James Gunn, if you're watching this, and I know he watches all my videos, that's not true. But I'm just saying, if he doesn't get rid of his version of Suicide Squad, which was not very good, I don't know how you can say, oh, let's get rid of Aquaman. You know, it's like you got to get rid of all of it or none of it. That's my opinion. And by the way, speaking of The Rock, I have a Zoa energy drink right now. And this isn't sponsored because The Rock has enough money. But I do enjoy the taste of these. It actually tastes... if The Rock perspirated into a can, this is what it would taste like. And it tastes beautiful. So those are my quick thoughts on the all the big DC news right now, guys. Feel free to dive in, share your thoughts. Let's talk about it, or we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. But the first question we have here is from Kung Fu Hot Dog. I think there was an option here. I thought you could show these on screen. I thought there was an option to do that. Anyway, Kung Fu Hot Dog says, hey, Johnny boy, glad you're on at this time. As I live in the UK, I think we will get a real-life civil war if Gunn's DC reboot crushes Marvel. Well, not anytime soon. I think it's going to be a slow building process, and if they do decide to reboot everything and come out with a new solo whatever movie, if it's a new solo, I don't know. I would say you almost need to start it with somebody like The Flash or Superman if you reboot everything. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We're years and years away from all of this, but it can't get any worse than it already did, right? Like, can you really make a worse movie that's as expensive as Wonder Woman 2? Like, can you do it? I don't know. Joel Turner says, which movie do you think had the best looking overall cast? I would say not another teen movie. That's a weird question. What do you mean, like most attractive cast of all time? That's not another teen movie? I don't know. I don't know if that'd be the top of mine, man. What an odd question. I don't know. We'll go with American Pie Part 2 for that one. I don't know. The Craft. How's that? Fried Green Tomatoes. That's my pick for the most attractive cast of all time. There, I said it. We got one here from Dalton Cobb. John, thanks for the live stream tonight. Long day at work, so here to show some support and distress. Well, thanks for that, man. Thank you for that super chat. And I'm here to take your stress away. So just close your eyes, lean back, and relax, and let Master Flick Pick do all the work. I know that sounds weird, but hey, that's what I'm here for, guys. Let my soothing voice go into your ears. All right. MKF30 says, yeah, well, by that logic, Returns wasn't heroic. Left Earth for 5 years. Laugh out loud, heroic. People need to get away sometimes, man. Let's see. Man of Steel wasn't trash. Now Captain Marvel was trash. I would agree with that. That is a factual statement, actually. All right, the next one comes from comic book movie fatigue? Question mark. You see, the thing with comic book fatigue is, I don't think it's fatigue. It's not. We're just fatigued about bad movies. That's the problem. When Marvel and DC just start crapping out content for the sake of crapping it out, that's the fatigue. We just don't want to see bad movies. We enjoy good comic book movies. Don't you? I mean, every time we get a good comic book film that tells a real story with real emotion, and you can tell it's well crafted by artists, we enjoy that shit. I don't have fatigue when I watch a good movie like that. Absolutely not. It's just bad movies. That's the fatigue. And that's what we're getting into nowadays. We're getting into quantity over quality. And that's the biggest problem in Hollywood. Thoughts on the Indy 5 trailer? I enjoyed it. It looks as good as I think it could look. I'm still sort of waiting. I got to see the movie. I mean, you can make a decent looking trailer. I thought some of the de-aging on Harrison Ford looked nice. The plot could be interesting. The Dial of Destiny is kind of an interesting title, which I don't know if this movie's going to have time travel or if there's some kind of maybe sacred artifact that they find that relates to time itself. Not necessarily time travel. Do I think Indy's going to get into a DeLorean and go 88 miles per hour back to 1943? No, I do not. But I have a feeling one of the artifacts that they find can almost manipulate time to some degree. So some of those flashback sequences with Indy, everything that he's done in life, I feel like will be leading to a bigger purpose. And maybe that's the motto of the film. This is all theory. I'm just crapping out right now. It came to me, but maybe the motto or the moral of the film is the dial of destiny is something that relates to everyone in their own lives. So everything that you do every day, every event you go through, all leads to something else. And maybe that'll be the overall narrative of Indy 5. I don't know. That to me could be interesting, you know? But yeah, I liked the trailer. All right, let's go to the next one here. Michael Parton says Patty Jenkins murdered Wonder Woman like Tim Burton or Joel Schumacher murdered Batman. I wouldn't say Burton necessarily murdered Batman. Joel Schumacher definitely fucking murdered him, that's for sure. Just give him those hard nipples, baby. Yeah, harder the better. That's what we need here. Patty Jenkins, that second Wonder Woman movie, 84, that was inexcusably bad. That was atrociously bad. Mauricio Silva says, hey, John, I'm glad Wonder Woman 3 got discarded. The second movie was really bad. I just need the Batman 2. I'll take the Batman 2 every day. But like I said a few minutes ago, do I think Robert Pattinson's Batman is the best version of Batman to have a team up with the Flash and Aquaman if that's where it's leading down the road? I would say no. He's so grounded, I don't feel like that would work. And introducing him into those other films would take away from what makes his solo movies good. And I've listened to a lot of podcasts, and I listened to one specifically by Matt Reeves, the director of the Batman, and his whole agreement for coming in to do that movie was like, hey, I don't want to connect this with anything else. I just want to tell his own story. And I think if DC's like, no, we're going to borrow Robert Pattinson's Batman and put him in Wonder Woman, I feel like he'd be like, nah, I'm down. I'm done then. So Pattinson's Batman, I think, will always be a standalone. Will we get another version of Batman down the road? Possibly. Maybe that other version of Batman can exist in a different universe, you know? I think that's the only way to go, but I feel like the last solo outing we get of any upcoming DC film that's rebooted will be another Batman. They'll do everything else, and then they'll save the new version of Batman for the very last. Or at least that's what I would do. But then again, I don't run a multi-billion-dollar studio. The Rap Party says, movie shot locations you would like to visit. The one I always wanted to visit, and it's actually not very far away, and I've driven past it, and I went there for a haunted house tour, was the Shawshank Redemption Prison. What is that called? What is that facility called? Oh my God, I can't remember what it's called. Reformatory. Something reformatory. Can't remember. But anyway, I would like to go there. It's only a couple hours away. Another filming location I would like to go to, and it's also another filming location not very far away. It's the Home Alone house, which is in the suburbs of Chicago, and that's only like 3 hours away. So at one point, I would like to visit that. I'm trying to think of other. I'm sure there's a handful of other filming locations I'd like to visit one day, but those are the two I feel like I could get to fairly quickly and easily, and I could do so soon. Also, the Christmas Story house is like 2 hours away. So there's a few filming locations I want to check out, not too far away. Dalton Cobb says, John, thanks for the live stream. Well, no problem. I already read this one, though. Okay, here we go. Michael Parton says, they did say Shazam and Blue Beetle don't have an effect on this, so maybe we could get a Shazam 3 and Blue Beetle 2. I don't know. Yeah, well, the first Shazam movie did well. Blue Beetle has not come out yet, so you could tack Shazam into whatever you want to. I think Shazam works. I mean, could you make a better version of Shazam? Maybe, but I thought the first movie was sufficient, so yeah, we'll see. And maybe Shazam going forward, maybe James Gunn doesn't have really big plans for him to be part of the big DCEU. I mean, in my opinion, would I put Shazam beside Wonder Woman? Probably not. I think you should keep it to the pivotal characters, but who knows? The next one comes from a new YouTube account who says, flex a bicep while yelling hard. There you go, man. Daniel, you're welcome for that. Daniel says, can't believe I'm finally seeing this live. Did I already? Oh no, I didn't. Okay, here we go. Hey, John, have a good one. In some ways, a total fresh reboot is what is needed from DC. Absolutely. It's been a long time coming. They've tried so many things, and so many things have not worked. And I think it's time to just end it. Just be done with it. It's like grasping at straws at this point. I mean, do you really even want to see, like, could you imagine the current version of the DC characters coming together? Like, would you really care? Like, would you give a shit? It's like, oh, where's Ben Affleck's Batman? I don't know. Who's that? I don't know. Like, it's not much is working. And plus, Ezra Miller, they don't want him any longer. They're trying to get rid of him as quickly as possible. Had they already not spent $200 million on a Flash movie, it would not be coming out. And plus, not to mention the Batgirl movie, which was scrapped and put on a shelf. So, doesn't that just go to show you they have no idea what they're doing? Kevin Parker says, really love everything you do, John. I recently finished writing a short horror film script that I'm going to make in the new year. Would love to send it to you when it's done. Also, really glad you love Tarantino so much. He's honestly my favorite filmmaker. He's one of my favorite filmmakers, one of the very few that never lets me down. And he's one of the very few I'm always looking forward to whatever he does. The only shame against humanity is he's only going to direct one more movie, but he does have an upcoming series coming out, so give it to me. Yeah, Ohio State Reformatory. Yes. I knew the name was so simplistic. They've reached out to me and said I can come check it out anytime. I'm friends with the guy who runs it on Instagram. So, yes, that's the name of it. And yeah, send me your script, man. I mean, I can browse it. I'm, but good luck with your movie. Bucketeer says, it's great your stream. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Sean H says, hey, John, have you seen The Last of Us HBO trailer? Could it be the first good video game to TV/movie adaptation? Well, the crazy thing is it'll just be a video game adaptation because it is a series. So even if it's phenomenal, which the trailer looks really good, I'm a big fan of Pedro Pascal. He's always leading a smaller, more vulnerable character through the battlefield. He's hard on the outside, but inside he has a heart of gold. And that's sort of the typecasting Pedro Pascal has been in. If you've seen The Mandalorian, sort of the similar concept to Last of Us. Well, not really a similar concept. Similar character. Not a very similar concept. I don't think there's zombies anywhere in Mandalorian. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. But even if it's the greatest video game adaptation ever made, we still won't have like the greatest video game movie because it's going to be a series on HBO. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad it's coming out in January because I need some new shit to watch immediately. Where are we? Okay, Michael Parton says, Patty Jenkins didn't write the first Wonder Woman. Zack Snyder actually did. She wrote 1984, and they rejected her ideas for 3, which is why she quit. Yeah, well, they rejected her ideas and then said, we're not making this, and then I think she quit. I don't think Zack Snyder wrote the entirety of the first Wonder Woman, did he? I don't think he did. Wasn't there like 2 or 3 writers on that? I think he had the concept, but I don't think he wrote the entire screenplay. I could be wrong in that, but I know there were other writers on that. No, Zack Snyder's original version of the first Wonder Woman film was actually going to take place in, like, I think the 1800s. And it was going to have like a group of like different types of warriors. There was going to be a samurai, a Native American. That would have been phenomenal. That was the original concept. That would have been kick-ass. That's what I would have liked to have seen. But no, I like the first Wonder Woman. Don't get me wrong. Landon Thompson says, what actor do you want to meet but haven't met? Nicolas Cage, Arnold Schwarzenegger? Probably those two. Just at the same time. A new YouTube account says, you didn't yell hard. I don't yell hard for $2, mister. I'm sorry. And that's what she said. Okay, Joseph Knowles says, John, what's a movie that changed your mindset? Great question. I'm trying to think of a movie that changed my mindset or my outlook on something. I mean, I'm sure there's movies out there. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. That's a very broad question, and that would take some very deep thought to give you a great answer. A movie that changed my mindset. I mean, there's a lot of films going into, I sort of assume how I'm going to feel, but there's been some documentaries over the years that sort of just terrify me, especially documentaries about pharmaceutical companies and corporations, how they just get away with everything and they can make us sick and they have no repercussions. I mean, look up pharmaceutical companies and some of the drugs they put out over the last decade that have killed thousands amongst thousands of people. Like everyone makes a huge deal about COVID. It's like, yeah, that's terrible. But there's pharmaceutical companies that were prescribing drugs to people, killing them by the thousands. And what do they get? They get a slap on the wrist and a small fine, but they still get to keep the remainder of their profits that they made. So it's like, yeah, we made $60 billion in profits and we have $1 billion fine. But we only killed like 60,000 people with our heart medication. No big deal. So documentaries like that open up my eyes to things and sort of terrify me. If you think you're safe, you're not. You're just drinking poison every day and breathing in carcinogens. I mean, that's all we're doing. So anyway, those are a few things that have changed my mind. Don't ask me the documentary name. I've watched so many of them, but as far as like a film goes, oh man. I'll tell you one thing I like to do when I watch movies nowadays, and it's to really put if it's a movie based on real events, I'm trying to, like, for example, like watching the movie The Pianist, right? It's about the Holocaust. It's about the Jewish ghettos in Poland during the 1940s. Whenever I watch a movie like that, I put myself in that situation. I get so immersed into it and I think, oh my God, this would be the most terrifying thing to ever go through or witness. And it's like people did that. Like that was someone's life. And I'm just watching it in the comfort and safety of my underwear at my house. And I'm just like, that is terrifying. The thought of like running for your life for years and trying to survive. Really, that's my best advice to you. If you watch a film based on real life or true life events, do your best, not just to watch it, but put yourself in that situation. It completely immerses you in a different way and changes that movie. And that's what I've been doing that for a couple years now. And that to me has made certain films more impactful. Okay, the next one comes from Ben's Films Collection. How's it? Or Ben's Film Collection. There we go. Yo, John. Much love from the UK. I watched Fall the other night and it was toe curling. Resurrection was another from last night. Good film, but weird ending. Have you seen it? Keep going. And a G and funny. Keep being a G and funny. Thank you. I'll try to read as the comments scroll up and down. I promise you I'm not dyslexic. Okay, so the first part of your comment, Fall was a good one-time watch movie. Would I ever watch it again? Probably not, but it did make my palms sweaty. And that's the reason I don't climb tall shit. Because if you climb something tall, guess what? There's a 50-50 chance that you could fall off of that tall thing that you climbed. So no thank you. Resurrection? But who's critically acclaimed? Example, Leonardo DiCaprio is a beloved actor, but a frequent butt of a joke. I like Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't care what anyone says about him. I think he's a phenomenal actor, and I like watching him. I'll tell you a few actors I don't like to look at. One would be what is his name? I cannot remember his name. I'm gonna look it up right now. I don't care. Jai Courtney. I just remembered it. Jai Courtney. Anytime I know Jai Courtney is going to be in a movie, it makes me not want to see the movie. That I'm just keeping it real with you. He's never added anything to a movie. He has no charisma, except for Captain Boomerang. We've talked about Captain Boomerang. It's the best thing he's ever done. So if he can just play Captain Boomerang in every movie he ever stars in, that'll be a good time. Also, there's another actress I want to talk about. Hang on. Yes. We're going to talk about this in just one second. Meryl Streep. Never been a big fan of Meryl Streep. I'm sorry. When I look at her in movies, it doesn't do anything for me. You know, the fact that she's won so many awards, I'm just like, yeah, but it's because you were in a good movie. I don't feel like her performance really did much for me. I don't know. Some people love her. That's just my opinion. Speaking of Meryl Streep, I got Adaptation on 4K the other day, and it's been a long time since I've seen this. Also, as stars Meryl Streep, but the best performance in this film is from Nicolas Cage. This is probably one of the best performances he's ever given. Phenomenal movie. Check it out. I haven't seen this in probably like 10 years, so I'm going to go check it out on 4K. Speaking of 4K movies, I got a few others here. I also got Smile, and this movie made me do everything except for smile. You know what? That's a lie. I smiled when the movie was over. I know some people like this. I thought it was okay to watch once, but it sort of just feels like that standard. Was this rated R? Yeah, it was rated R, but it felt like it could have just been rated PG-13. To me, Smile was a movie that stole ideas from like 10 other good movies and then blended them up, put them in a grinder, and then dumped them out, and they looked like regurgitated baby food. And they said, oh, here's a movie with lackluster versions of better ideas. But I know some people like this, and I'm sure 13-year-old kids will think this is the best movie ever made. And then, last but certainly maybe least, and we're going to continue on with the questions in just 3 seconds here. And thanks to all 329 of you watching right now. Thank you for that. I got Amsterdam on Blu-ray. I just shared this on Instagram. It's still in the package. I did start watching this on HBO Max, so you can go buy the Blu-ray, you can download the digital, or you can watch it on HBO Max. I watched on HBO Max yesterday, and I will just say, David O. Russell, I don't know what it is with him and making these ensemble cast of great actors, and then he puts them in his movie, and then they just don't do anything interesting. He's like, I'm going to cast 17 of the best actors working, and I'm just going to put them in a story where they don't do shit. And by the way, I'll make it 3 hours long when it could be 2 hours long, and we'll just like run out of ideas after the first act. We'll drag our feet. We'll have a conclusion. The story that this had to tell, the story that this movie had to tell could have been wrapped up in 47 minutes. It could have been a short film. But what they do is they take that concept and they take that story and they just drag that shit out as far as they can for the sake of self-indulgence, which makes me very upset. I like Christian Bale in the film. I did like some of the weird kookiness of him being a doctor and replacing people's like body parts and their eyes and making new faces. It was kind of gross. Like you can't eat when you look at it. But I liked that concept. But overall, as far as the film goes, oh my gosh, that was a mess. That was a mess of a movie. And speaking of Amsterdam, the coolest thing they did for me, though, is I just talked shit about their movie. Sorry, but I'll keep it real with you. I'm not a sellout. But anyway, the coolest thing they sent me was this. They sent me a Jack in the Box. Are you guys ready for it? I know I am. Look at that. Look at that big old eyeball right there. So nasty. It smells like Christian Bale. Okay. So there's that. And now we can continue on with the questions. I hope you enjoyed that. All right. Oh, here we go. How do you, we got from a new YouTube account says, how do you feel about people paying you to say stupid things? That being said, do a Christopher Walken impression, being unhinged. Thanks, lovey daddy. Well, thanks, man. I love you too. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes your mother, just beautiful, her eyes azul, once told me, don't ever watch the movie Smile or else I'll stick it up your ass. That's it. That's all I got for you. I'm sorry. Interplode. You didn't put a question, but thanks for the super chat, man. I think you missed the question, though. There's an option for a question or a sticker. always click the comment section on that thing, or the comment section. Johan Wilkstorm says, do you still have the cosplay Chris Batman statue? Yes, my pal Cosplay Chris, who has a YouTube channel and does some good, cool, awesome shit over there. He made me a Ben Affleck figure, or he took a Ben Affleck figure that was like 16 inches tall and customized it and made it look really cool. I do still have it. It's in my garage. The cape is sort of falling off. I need to hot glue it, but yeah, I still have it. Joseph Knowles says, what are some of your favorite movie characters that don't let anyone or anything get in their way to get the job done? I love De Niro in Heat. Oh, yeah, man. De Niro in Heat. How about I give you a pack of bubblegum and show you how to chew it? I got another character who doesn't let anyone else get in their way. Lou Bloom from Nightcrawler. That's one character who doesn't let anyone get in his way. And if you do get in his way, he's going to cut your brakes and your head's going to go through the windshield of your car. So yeah, Lou Bloom's another character. And I love characters where the ends justify the means. I like that. I like when characters will do whatever it takes to get what they need to. And also, speaking of Nightcrawler, check this out, huh? Check out that. Check out that VHS copy of Nightcrawler. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Look how sexy that is. It even has a yellow tape in there. It's still in the plastic. It has all the logos and synopsis on the back and the artwork. It's very like 1980s retro. This was made by a good friend of mine named Katie Video. That's not her legal name, but her Instagram is Katie Video. So check her out. She does these, and she can send you custom VHS covers from some of your favorite movies. You can order them. They come with a cassette in there. Awesome artwork that you can put up on the shelf. And once I add a shelf back there, somewhere over here, this will be up there. So yeah, check out Katie Video on Instagram and buy some of this cool shit. Like, look at that.
Here's what I found.
Shut up. Okay. All right, the next one comes from Interplode. Hi, John. Been watching your channels for many years now. Do you remember when you got sent 2 checks for 80 cents from eBay? I do remember my 80-cent checks from eBay because there was some big lawsuit going on where eBay got sued for like, I don't know, $300 million. And then they sent me 2 checks for 60 cents or something like that. And then I made a video how you can spend 60 cents in a day. And I sparse that shit out. I will say that. But yeah, I do vividly remember making that. And that's when I lived in my parents' basement. Good times. Kenji says, thoughts on Romeo and Juliet, another underrated performance by Leonardo DiCaprio. I thought it was an okay movie. I was never a big fan of Romeo and Juliet, especially the reimagining of it in the mid-1990s. It didn't work for me. And plus, I was never a real big fan of the Shakespearean play, Romeo and Juliet. I'm sorry, just here, drink your poison. I don't like any of you, or either of you. Here, drink the poison, die together. I don't care. Yeah, but it's okay. Michael Parton says, first solo DC film, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, or Green Lantern. We desperately need a new Hal Jordan. Yes. So, I said earlier, if you're going to reboot the DCEU, who should you start with, right? Which direction should you go? In my opinion, I would start with someone like The Flash, because with The Flash, there's a lot of different elements you can combine into that one movie. That's where I would go with it. But since we're already getting a new Flash movie this summer, well, I think that won't be the case. But if that wasn't the situation, I think that would be the best first take to go with. But yeah, like you said, maybe the fact that it's been a while since we've gotten a good Green Lantern movie, and you could have a new Hal Jordan, that might be a first good outing to have. It's tough to say, isn't it? It's like, where do you start? How do you wash that sour taste out of everyone's mouth that's already been there for so long and start fresh? But yeah, I think Green Lantern would be an interesting first outing for a solo movie. Kenji says, have you watched Mouse Hunt? Have I watched Mouse Hunt? I think so. A funny, underrated comedy. Also, Christopher Walken is in it playing the exterminator. I vaguely remember Mouse Hunt. Or you think Mouse Hunt? Or what was the movie with Christopher? Why was there a slew of like mouse movies made? Mouse Hunt. What year was this? 1997. Okay. What was the other? You had the little Stuart the mouse, right? And then you had wasn't there another mouse movie with let's see. Crispin Glover mouse movie. Was it Crispin Glover in a mouse movie? Or am I making that up? Maybe it was a Willard. Yeah, wasn't Willard about a mouse too? Yeah, so think about this, guys. This just occurred to me. This is a groundbreaking revelation I've just had, and I need everyone to listen up very closely. Did you notice from the mid-1990s to the early 2000s, we were getting a lot of mouse movies? Like we had Willard, we had Stewart, we had multiple Stewart movies. We had whatever the movie you just said was. What the fuck was with all the mouse movies? Someone explain this to me right now. Why did we have so many mouse movies? Did you? Okay. Sorry for that. That was a weird, like, revelation you just gave me. Weird. All right, let me double check the chat here because why is it on YouTube that YouTube hasn't figured out how to get rid of links making you go pay for sex robots? Like, why haven't we been able to figure out how to not do that, YouTube? Like Google. Like, you have everything else, but you can't quite figure out how to have spamming links to sex robots not show up in people's live shows. Baffling, isn't it? Okay. At least give people a discount. I mean, geez. Craig Thompson says, thoughts on Terrifier 2 and Black Christmas 1974. I've never seen Black Christmas 1974, and I did not watch Terrifier 2. I don't know. Terrifier 2, I'm sure people liked it. I watched the first one, and I didn't really feel like I needed that to be an iconic horror villain going into a sequel. I know some people enjoyed it. For me, I don't think that'll stand the test of time as like, oh, that's a great horror film I want to rewatch over and over. That's just me, though. I don't know. A new YouTube account says, if you had one life advice for me, what would it be? Go outside, man. You need to go outside and make a friend. That's what my advice to you is today. But if you want to stay inside and use me as your friend, that's fine for today. But tomorrow, you got to go outside. James Docher says, hey, John, how's it going today? It's going pretty good, James. Can't complain, man. Busy day. I woke up this morning and I had a flat tire on my car. So I had to go down to the tire place and sat there for an hour and a half as they fixed my tire. And then, it was an okay day. No complaints. Ryan Potter says, will you ever have a shot at making movies? I've never aspired to make movies, I guess. I don't know. I've never wanted to make movies. I like criticizing them. I like talking about them. But I've never attempted to make a film. I've never written a film. So I don't know. I never tried. Stuart Little 1 and 2 are decent. I mean, fair enough, man. Fair enough. I watched the first one. Evil Broomstick says, any mic you'd recommend around $100? I don't know about a $100 mic, man, but I use a Samson G-Track Pro, and this might be $160 for a USB mic, and I highly recommend this because it's got pretty good audio, and I'll give you a little taste of that audio. My name is Morgan Freeman. So yeah, it's not a bad mic. If you wanted a $100 mic, I guess you could get like, I don't know, like a snowball mic. I had one of those for a minute. Not bad, not great. Maybe look into that. James Dosher says, have you seen the movie Tombstone from 1993? I have seen Tombstone from 1993. Not one of my favorite Western films. What was I going to say? Okay, yeah. Michael, yeah, that's who. Sam Elliott, Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer. Yeah, you want to be my Huckleberry? You guys can all be my Huckleberry anytime. All right. I have seen it. I would say Tombstone's not one of my favorite Westerns. I enjoyed it. But like if I had to pick a Western movie I really enjoy from the 90s, Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood would probably top the list in the 90s. But then again, I have some guilty pleasure Western movies like, oh God, I just forgot the name of them. There's two of them starring Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen, along with a slew of other actors. Not The Regulators. What am I thinking of? 80s Western movie. My IMDb brain is not working today, guys. Young Guns. Oh my, how did I forget Young Guns? Let me punish myself now for forgetting it. So stupid. Yeah, Young Guns. I enjoy Young Guns 1 and 2. Guilty Pleasures, absolutely. Not that great. But there were rumors, and there was a rumor that a new Young Guns movie was supposed to be in production at this point. Like, I remember like a year or two ago, they were like, yeah, we're going to start filming it soon. So who knows whatever happened to that. But I would like to see another Young Guns. Hopefully Charlie Sheen doesn't come back because that would immediately take me out of it. Or did his character die in one of the movies? I don't know. Requiem says pizza and Mountain Dew battery acid is life. Absolutely. I don't drink as much Mountain Dew as I did, but occasionally when I'm feeling extra trashy, I do like to have myself a Diet Mountain Dew. Not going to lie. Tears of a Dragon Queen says, you going to watch Dead Meat's new movie coming out? What is Dead Meat's new movie? I don't know what that is. But now I have to Google it. There's Dead Meat from 2004 and Dead Meat from 2007. The one from 2007 is about an ex-con named Clarky who is betrayed by his best friend, and he has no one to turn to as he tracks down his brother's killer. Okay, that sounds like some straight-to-DVD shit here. And then the other Dead Meat is... an infection spreads from slaughtered animals to humans, which causes the dead to rise and feed on the living. Well, another zombie movie. Now that sounds interesting. That sounds like a good trashy movie to watch. Interplode says, what are your thoughts on Bruce Lee? He went too soon. I would have liked to see what else he did in his life and what other movies he could have made. But yeah, too soon, man. I like some of the original Bruce Lee movies. I'm not like a hardcore fanatic of them. I don't go back and rewatch them over and over again. I've seen them. I've seen them once. Especially the, was it Enter the Dragon? That was, which one was it? Which Bruce Lee film wasn't completed yet? But then they tack together a whole bunch of scenes to complete the film, and it feels so choppy and odd. I'm trying to, what was that? Enter the Fist or Enter the Dragon? I don't remember. Evil Broomstick says, also my girlfriend and I are finally getting a 4K TV in January. We also want to get a soundbar, hopefully under $250. Any recommendations? Well... my advice to you is don't just get a soundbar. Try to get a surround sound system with a soundbar. Now, hear me out for a second. Now, if you want one that's effective and good and sounds great, go with a Vizio. I don't know if Vizio right now. I think they have at least one option that's close to $250 that you can pick up. It's a Vizio surround sound soundbar system. So it'll come with a soundbar. It'll come with a subwoofer and 2 rear satellite speakers that are wirelessly connected to the front speaker and they connect to the subwoofer. That's what my recommendation to you. I have one of those in my living room. I have their premium version of it. It has Dolby Atmos sound coming out of the top of it, but they have cheaper versions of that which sound good as well. So I would recommend going that route with a Vizio. Because don't just get the soundbar, man. I'm telling you right now, if you want to get immersed in a cinema, you need some sound coming from behind you. You know, you want to hear those creepy footsteps from behind you. You know, if Tom Cruise is flying a fighter jet, you want to hear that shit coming from behind you, okay? So that would be my recommendation to you. Don't just buy a soundbar for $250. Get the surround sound system. Chris Salamu says, hope this channel stays forever. Yeah, this channel's not going. I can promise you two things in life. This channel's not going anywhere, and I will never, if anything ever happens, if I stop making videos on YouTube, the only videos I will continue to make are the live shows. I promise you that much in life. Like, even if I said I'm quitting YouTube and I'm going to become an accountant or some bullshit, I don't know why I would become an accountant. I'm terrible at math. I don't have an accounting degree. No one would hire me to do any math. I promise you that. They'd be like, do you remember how to do long division? I'd be like, yeah, no, I don't actually. So I wouldn't become an accountant. But if I ever did do anything else besides YouTube, I would still do the live shows. So rest assured, these will always keep going until the day I die. Okay. Itchy Elbow says, what's your favorite snack for when you're high? Salty snacks are good. Chips, crispy cheese crisps, pepper jack from Costco. Oh God, so good. Those are a few of my faves. But nothing's better than like reheated pizza. Chips and salsa, like tortilla chips and salsa. I like spicy, salty things. Yeah. The next one comes from Kenji. So apparently Nosferatu is being remade and it's in development. Bill Skarsgård is going to be Count Orlok. Is it Orlok or Orlik? Thoughts? I thought it was Orlik. I could be wrong. Okay. Yes. So let me tell you this about Nosferatu. Nothing terrifies me more than watching the old grainy, 1920s German film with Nosferatu, and to me that's always I never understood how that hasn't been remade. I think there's been a remake of it, but in modern times, in the last 20 years, with all the reboots and reimaginings of all the bullshit, how that has not got a reimagining with Nosferatu. It just looking at it would give you nightmares. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Do I think it'll be good? I don't know, hopefully, but I have faith in it, and the fact that they cast Bill Skarsgård, who sort of looks creepy as shit and already played a creepy clown once, it makes sense for him to play a creepy vampire, sure. Right, we got one here from Ryan. Oh, no, Ryan, I already answered your question, man. You said I missed it, but I didn't. I answered it earlier. Here's another one from Ryan. Ryan Potter says, will movies in 100 years evolve, format, or remain 2D? In 100 years, I want you guys to think about this, right? I want all 308 of you to think about this. I'm going to make a very valid point in just 1 second. Let me take a drink of this. We live in a simulation right now. I want you guys to all know that. This isn't real. You're imagining this right now. It's just made up bullshit. Right now, you're in a giant tub of goo with wires in your head, and you're just imagining what you're seeing. Eventually, like, the reason I say that is, and we're going to talk about movies and where movies are going to be in 100 years. The reason I say all this is, if you look at the current status of like video game technology, the Unreal Engine, right? Have you looked at what that can do? It's 2022 right now. And the effects, the ray tracing, the reflections, just the way they can advance technology so quickly and so suddenly, and it's almost like evolving too quickly for its own good. Now imagine what video games will look like with 100+ years of evolution, technology, and time put into them. If they can look that good right now, go back 100 years ago, go back to 1922, and look at what we had then. We had grainy fucking movies with no sound. Now we're getting to the point where VR can be almost photorealistic. You can get immersed into it. So in another 100 years, they're going to just plug it into your brain. You're going to instantly just go blink your eyes and you're going to get the whole experience of watching that movie. That's where movies are going. And then eventually after that, people aren't going to want to live in reality. I know I don't want to live in reality already right now. Do you think I want to get in my car and sit in traffic to go to McDonald's? No, thank you. If I could just swallow a pill, plug something into my brain that made me think I ate a giant, nice New York strip while sitting, on top of a luxurious penthouse on the 82nd floor, wearing velvet slippers and a fur, I don't know, what was I going to say? A robe? I would do it. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. If you could permanently live in like a tropical paradise by just plugging something into your brain and laying down in a tub of goo. And sorry if you're just now joining this live show, but I think that's where we're going. So when it comes to movies versus like living your whole life in a movie, that's a great question. Where are movies going to go? To some degree, they're always going to be there in one form or another. Well, they simply just become little things that you can plug into a flash drive and you just plug it into your brain and push play and you just got the whole experience in an hour? Or can you live through the entire experience of that movie? Can you almost be like a fly on the wall in that environment of that film where it's being made? Are movies going to be made with 360-degree cameras? Who knows the future of movies? Is it always going to be something 2D where you just sit there and look at it on a screen? I think it's getting to the point where people don't necessarily want any device on their head like 3D glasses. We don't want to wear the VR goggles. We want to live in the situation. And then by living in the situation, if you had to plug some wires into your head to do so, then maybe that's the future. I'm not quite sure. I'm terrifying myself right now. But anyway, that's where I think they're going. So I think like the version of like, oh, we have this optical disc, which by the way, optical discs, give it 5 more years, are going to be gone, which makes me really sad. But at some point, it's like, what is the evolution of a film going to be? Like, how immersed into like content do we need to be as a civilization? But then again, maybe I'm giving us too much credit as a civilization and humanity. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, there's people that can just do this on TikTok for 17 hours a day and watch a 3-second clip that has no fulfilling aspect to it, and like they're happy about that. So maybe that's the direction we're going. Maybe we'll have 5-second long movies, and that's what kids will like in 100 years. I don't know. If it were up to me, I like to look at a TV. Like, I'm just like, this feels safe. I like this. Or it could be like The Matrix. And in which case, we could be in The Matrix right now, and you wouldn't know it. Just think right now. Just think about this. Maybe right now, you're sitting in your living room with a VR headset on, and you don't even know it. Maybe this is just one big movie and it's almost over. And when you die, guess what? The movie's over. You take off the goggles and you go, oh my God, that was fucking awesome. Or you go, oh my God, that sucked. Maybe that's the movie we're living in right now. Life is one big movie. And at times, doesn't it just feel like one big movie? You ever notice in life, like things are going really good and all of a sudden, dun dun dun, you have a big twist that comes up. And then things get back to good or they get worse. It's weird how life is sometimes. To me, it feels like a movie sometimes. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Let's just get back into it. Tears of a Dragon Queen says, John, come on, Dead Meat on YouTube. James and Chelsea, they do the kill counts. Laugh out loud. Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't really watched them. I don't really watch kill count videos. Something about it doesn't really do it for me, but sounds cool. I've never watched them. I'm sorry. It's like watching like Cinema Sins. I can respect what he's doing, but I don't really want to hear a bell go ding every time a movie does something. I'm just like, okay. The next one comes from Itchy Elbows. Just started watching Star Trek The Next Generation, and it's blowing my mind how great it is. Never was a Trek guy, but I am now. Have you watched it? Yeah, when it comes to Star Trek, the only thing I've ever really been into... Now, keep in mind, my stepdad used to watch Star Trek The Next Generation every day when I was a kid. And that was sort of like the boring version of Star Trek. I know people like it. I'm sorry. But I was into the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie back in 08, 09. And really beyond that, I have not really beyond Star Trek Beyond. Beyond that, I haven't really been into Star Trek. I haven't watched the new series. I've heard good things, but I don't know if I'm ever going to dive into it. Joseph Knoll says, favorite movie characters that are lonely. I mean, Tom Hanks' character in Castaway is pretty lonely on that island for a couple of years. That's one of my favorite characters. Other characters that come across lonely? Ooh. Well, speaking of lonely characters, I do want to see The Whale with Brendan Fraser coming up very soon. I do want to see that. What's another lonely character? Buffalo Bill felt slightly lonely, but I think he liked his alone time maybe a little bit too much. Lou Bloom, in a way, which is my favorite movie of all time, Nightcrawler. Once again, Nightcrawler. He's sort of a lonely character, sort of a loner. That's another one of my favorites. And that's really, I think that says something about why I like the movie so much, is because Lou Bloom is a loner. He's sort of by himself. He relies on his own wits, to get certain things or make things happen for himself. So I almost respect it in a way. So someone said Swiss Army Man, Lou Bloom. Yes, I just said that. Taxi Driver, yes. Travis Bickle, another great loner type character. Those are always my favorite types of characters. I mean, you could even say, you said Taxi Driver. We could go with the new Joker movie. Loner type character as well. Sandra Bullock in Gravity, yeah, she was alone, yes, but for only a certain amount of time. Edward Norton in Fight Club, yes, another loner character who's consumed by consumerism, and then he breaks out of his shell and then imagines Brad Pitt. All right, the next one comes from, I think a lot of people are getting loner characters mixed up with characters stuck in lonely situations. I would say the loner is more of an aspect of their personality, not so much of their surroundings. Like, oh yeah, I get like James Franco and 127 hours. Yeah, my arm's stuck in this giant rock, but typically speaking, I like to hang out with people. You know what I mean? So, let's see. The next one comes from A-Train 1698. John, what did you think of Cobra Kai season ending with John Kreese? I laughed out loud. Yeah, Cobra Kai has jumped the shark so hard that I think they need to go a different direction, which is, I assume, what they're doing. They want to do more of an international sort of Cobra Kai, which I think is what they need to do with that series. But as far as John Kreese, and I'm just going to spoil this shit because it doesn't matter. John Kreese in Cobra Kai, he breaks out of prison, which, by the way, like if he had just stayed put for an extra 5 hours, I think the entire situation of why he was in prison, where he was framed to be there, would have been explained away. Like they could have just called the DA's office and said, hey, this guy lied. He shouldn't be there. I'm sure they could have got him out of prison at some point very soon. You didn't have to have this really convoluted way of escaping prison. And the fact that we're having a prison escape in Cobra Kai is just like, what is happening at this point? It was laughable when he was walking out of prison with the name tags, smiling and smirking, walking away. I'm like, you're a 75-year-old man. You have no money. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Get your vengeance? I'm going to go manipulate some 17-year-old kids to fight each other again. And then I'm going to start a Cobra Kai dojo where I charge them $13 a month to join it. That's my scheme. Like, what is this? Yeah, it was laughable. Someone said Roger Rabbit is a lonely character. I guess, yeah. Uh, you played patty cake? Night King 01 says, watch Mallrats for the first time. The first 45 minutes are good. Wish it would have just been them in the mall doing random stuff. The plot sucks. Well, yeah, the plot essentially revolves around a shitty game show hosted by Michael Rooker, and it goes downhill after that. I do agree. I liked every moment they're just in the mall hanging out. Good movie. Everything else, I agree with you on the plot, but don't rely so much on the plot of the movie. Just enjoy them talking about comic book movies in the mall. The opening scene though, with Jason Lee in the basement playing like hockey video games. Oh man, that just reminds me of like the early 90s going over to my cousin's house. Even the wood paneled walls and the comic books and like playing NHL games on Sega. Like, oh my, it's like, I can vividly remember that experience. I can even smell my cousin's basement. Had a slight smell of like mildew and body odor and like, I don't know, 8-day-old cornflakes he would leave out in a bowl in his basement. But man, good times. The next one comes from Timo Martilla. Hey John, greetings from Finland. What's your pitch for a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie? That's a random question. Okay. I mean, I don't think I would go stray away from what made the original so good. There's definitely going to be some violent predator-like character named Freddy who's done some unspeakable things, and then his spirit haunts children of future generations of the parents or the kids of the parents that burned him alive. So I think the general concept would be very similar. If it were up to me and I was going to do a reimagining of Nightmare on Elm Street, I would definitely have it set in the 1980s, like the original was. Something about modern day horror films with people that have smartphones, it takes away the terrifying element of them. And I think generally speaking, when it comes to films and telling a good story, anytime that a character can just go, oh, hey, so here's the problem. Just leave your house right now. Someone's trying to kill you. Okay, bye. So anytime you can just do that in a plot or in a story, it just ruins all the suspense. So I think anytime, like if you want to make a good movie, you got to find a way to get rid of smartphones. Like that's my thing, especially horror films, because the less technology that you have, the better. Because like when it comes to like Nightmare on Elm Street, right? The unknown is always the most terrifying thing. But if I can go to Google and go blah, 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 and figure out a solution to my problem in 10 seconds, well, it's not that scary anymore, right? So yeah, that's what I would do. I would just have it set in the 1980s, and I would just tell a different story and keep it simple. You know, you don't have to change everything for the sake of changing it. And shoot it on film. No more digital. Something about film just looks scarier. DJ Run says, I know you don't like I know you don't like musicals, but did you hear that Jeff Goldblum is playing the Wizard of Oz in the Wicked movie? And can you do a Jeff Goldblum impression saying, Wicked, which you will have winged monkeys in your winged monkey army? That's just saying that made me tired. Okay. I think I had an aneurysm reading it too. Why do I not like, did I say I don't like musicals? I just said they're not my preferred genre, right? So if I want to sit down and like relax and eat some popcorn, a musical is just not at the top of the list, right? A musical to me, whenever you break out into choreographed dancing, it just sort of takes me out of the story. I think musicals belong on stages, not on cinema. But not to say I don't like movies like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, The Wizard of Oz, and things like that. I might even like The Greatest Showman. Maybe I sort of like La La Land. I don't know. But you are going to have a Jeff Goldblum in your musical. And the fact that he's playing the wizard, perfect casting choice. Joseph Knowles says, is there a movie that haunted you? A movie that haunted me, the movie Sleepers from 1996 as a kid haunted me and made me never want to go to a boys' home. I'll tell you that much right now. And it made me look at Kevin Bacon a completely different way for the rest of my life. That's a creepy-ass movie. Look up Sleepers. Go watch it. It's seedy. Brian Babin says, life's a movie. Crappiest movie I've ever seen. Laugh out loud. Yeah, maybe this is a crappy movie. Maybe this is a straight to DVD movie that you're living in right now, and it's shit. This movie belongs in the $5 bin at Walmart, absolutely. But some people are living like Avengers Endgame movies and Avatar movies. Some people are living shittier movies. But the point is, it's going to be another movie. Just give it time. You're going to go on to a different movie, man. Who knows? The next one might be phenomenal. It might be like Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Maybe you're going to be a little John Connor riding on the back of a motorcycle with a cybernetic organism who just happens to be super muscular and he's trying to protect you. So who knows what the next movie will be. But this one, if it sucks, yeah, it sucks. Sometimes you watch a shitty movie and then you watch a good movie. So that's how I look at life. Itchy Elbow says, would you rather see Robert Pattinson Batman 2 or Affleck's standalone Batman movie? Ooh, that's a good question. And that's a tough question, I'll be honest with you. Would I like to see another grounded, gritty, film noir style Batman movie of Pattinson? Absolutely. But would I like to see a full-fledged Ben Affleck just go for it, batshit crazy Batflick movie starring Ben Affleck? You bat your ass I would. See what I did there? Yeah, I would. And especially knowing the vibe and the tone and some of the concept art that were going to be in that solo Ben Affleck Batman movie, where it was going to have sort of a 007 James Bond-esque vibe to it. Yes, that's what I would like to see. And Deathstroke was supposed to be the villain. I would have loved to have seen that movie. And if that's the movie I can get, yes, I will. You know what? I'll take that over another Robert Pattinson Batman movie. Yes, I will. Because I feel like I got the Robert Pattinson Batman. I got it. It exists. But I never got that solo Batman movie with Ben Affleck. No, I did not. So I would like to see that. Jingle Balls 420 says, do your balls get pruny like fingers when they are hot or wet for too long? Absolutely, man. But my best advice to you and everyone watching right now, if you do have testicles, and even if you don't, you need to buy not cotton underwear. You need to buy, I buy like a nylon kind of a sportswear underwear. It has a little bit of compression just where you need it, but not too much where you don't want it. So that's my advice to you. You can run in it or you can just sit down and have a relaxing day. But most importantly, it breathes and it's odor resistant. Okay. By the way, this is brought to you by, no, I'm kidding. Johan Welkstorm says, saw Point Break today and honestly didn't like it. Did you watch the new Point Break or the old 1991 Point Break? And tell me what you didn't like about it, because that's too broad of a statement. And if you can't handle Point Break, man, I don't know what to tell you. They just don't make action movies like that anymore. Practical effects, good characters with great motivations, memorable sequences, a compelling story. I mean, think about Point Break just for 1 second. They sold us on the fact that these guys are surfers and bank robbers. Just putting it out there. Tell me, you got to specify what didn't you like about it? Because I don't know how to have a one-way conversation. Give me 3 things you didn't like about it. Endgame is a plot hole ridden clown show. I mean, isn't any time travel movie technically a plot hole? Like anytime you revolve a story around time travel, anything is possible to where you could undo any event that just happened in the future. So it's like, if the concept of time travel actually exists, how does anything actually matter? And if you can go back in time, you could just ruin everything going forward. So it'd be like the biggest disaster ever. Like it. So yeah, what? Specify once again. If you can't just say something's terrible, you have to give me examples. I like Endgame. I don't care what anyone says. I like Endgame. It was a fulfilling conclusion. And listen to this. When it comes to Endgame, you're lying. You are blatantly lying to me and everyone else if you say your nipples didn't get hard or you didn't get goosebumps or a chill down your spinal cord when Captain America picked up Thor's hammer. If you felt nothing in that moment, you're not human. I don't trust you. All right, the next one comes from RC or R Channel 1 says, John, big fan here in the UK. Don't you think the social media has almost dictated the success of comic book films with the initial hate/love of the film before it's even out? I miss the days of one or two trailers, then waiting in suspense to watch it. Yes, I agree. Social media has gotten too social. It's gotten to the point where it's too, I guess the term is maybe competitive, or maybe the other term is like there's a lot of people that have nothing to say, but they're still saying it. So they kind of clog the entire system with like shitty opinions and things that ruin everything else. So yes, in a way, I feel like studios themselves have catered to everyone who has no patience whatsoever. And now it's like, you can't just release a movie trailer. No. Now you have to release 5 minutes of the movie. You have to release 25 scenes. Then before the movie comes out, they release the behind the scenes footage of the movie, and it just by the time the movie comes out, it doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel like there's this unknown, it's just like, I feel like we've already gotten what it is. So now it's just like, okay, yeah, this is what I thought it would be. Yeah, I do agree with you. The marketing for movies nowadays, it's like you basically have to give people 80% of the movie to get them to come pay to see that they're 20% of it. I don't like it. I really don't. What was the question, though? I'm sorry. Was it something about social media? Oh, yes, dictating if movies are good or bad. Yeah. Well, I don't know what studios are doing. They're sort of shooting themselves in the foot if you think about it, because now, like, okay, we're going to have a press release or a press screening of this movie. That way, everyone can go see it. General audiences and critics can see it 3 weeks before it comes out. That way, they can post their reviews everywhere, and then dictate the overall vibe of the movie, good or bad, before it hits theaters. It's just like, let people go see the movie and have a discussion about it, and then let's form an opinion. And some people base their entire opinion off of what somebody else says, and I don't think you should do that. Like, I'm of the mindset, don't ever watch a movie review to dictate if you should go see the movie or not. Don't ever do it. Now, if you just want to hear someone have a conversation about a movie and you go see the movie and you want to hear someone else like maybe bring up points that you didn't think of, or if you did, I think that's great. But I've never been of the mindset of like, watch a review to see if you want to see the movie. And I've never made reviews to tell you if you should see the movie or not. I just want to have a conversation, So I do agree with you. Yes. Social media has sort of tainted movies more or less. It's tainted more than just movies. It's tainted everything. Just delete it all. I'm done. Just delete it all. Start from zero. I'll tell you, the best time in life was like 2010 to 2015. It's like social media was exactly at the level it should be. Not people didn't live and die by it. It's like, okay, it's here. We check it out. There's some cool stuff here. There's some stuff that you might not like over here. But overall, it's like, it was a nice balance. It's like you could have social media and then you could have life. And now it's like, there's no such thing as real life anymore. It's only TikTok. It's getting deep and philosophical, I know, but let's continue on. Itchy Elbow says, what happened to superheroes looking like the everyday man? They cast supermodels for all these roles now. I mean, in some fairness, if you're going to have the comic book accurate adaptation of a comic book superhero who has big, large, vascular muscles and fucking amazing bicep definition, you should cast a guy who's a little bit jacked. It helps buy into the role. I mean, if they're muscular in the comics, I have no problem with them being muscular in the movie. I actually prefer it. When it comes to like an everyday man as a superhero, who are you specifically referring to? Which superhero would you say looks like an everyday man? I like to believe that this guy saving the day or kicking 18 henchmen's asses looks like he's physically able to do so. If I see some guy who weighs 120 pounds running in there to save the day, it's like something about that I just don't really buy into it, right? Now, when it comes to like overall movies, beyond superhero movies, casting people who look like real people to play real people, that would be nice. Because sometimes when you cast like a supermodel to play this just normal everyday woman. It's just like, yeah, I don't think she had time to go bleach her teeth 18 times this week. So in that regard, I do think movies should cast people who look like real people. Jessica Alba as Sue Storm was supermodel though. Laugh aloud. Yeah, she looked a little overdone, I will say. Her hair just looked bleached for the sake of looking bleached. And by the way, speaking of Jessica Alba and Fantastic Four, my favorite yet worst line ever in a movie is the one that she gives, where she goes, "What about Johnny's power problems?" That was written to a script. Chris says, did you manage to get an early screening of Avatar? So yes, I'm going to see Avatar Monday. I can't fucking wait. I don't care what you say. Avatar is the way of life, not just water. And I'll tell you this right now, Avatar, the way of water, I'm wet just thinking about it, okay? I'm going to bring 2 pairs of underwear to that movie because I'm going to get moist. But yeah, sorry guys, I'm feeling frisky today. But yeah, I'm seeing Avatar Monday. There was another press screening of it last week, but you had to be on a special critics list or something like that, which I never applied for, which I did just recently apply for. But yeah, I'll see it Monday. I was supposed to go see Babylon last night, a special screening of Babylon, the new Damien Chazelle film. Did I say Chazelle or Chazelle? Anyway, I was supposed to go see that last night, but it was 3 hours away, and then the movie's 3 hours, and I'd have to drive 3 hours back, and I was like, yeah, I'll just wait to see it in theaters. DJ Run says, sorry if you already mentioned it, but have you seen the new Avatar movie? Yeah, just mention it. I'm seeing it Monday, man. Can't wait. Jingle Balls 420 says, did you know that they make a ball hammock underwear? That sounds mildly uncomfortable. Itchy Elbows also says, when you are at a crossroads in life, best movie to watch are Castaway, Shawshank, and Stand By Me. Do you have any to add? Movies that kind of make you think about your life and what direction to go. I think you covered most of the ones I would go for. I mean, even the movie Castaway, at the very end of the film, he's literally at a crossroads deciding which direction to go, and I love that. And I relate to that because I've been in that same crossroads, figuratively and literally, probably like 8 times in my life. So I relate to it very much. Okay, here we go. Kenji says, can you rank these underrated World War II movies and thoughts on each of them? Downfall, Midway, Thin Red Line, Tora, 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 Flags of Our Fathers, and Letters from Iwo Jima. I think Letters from Iwo Jima is superior than Flags of Our Fathers when it comes to the Clint Eastwood movies. I mean, they both coincide with each other, but I always preferred Letters from Iwo Jima. Midway, you're talking about the new Midway movie? I thought that was instantly forgettable at best. Downfall, I don't really remember. Thin Red Line, I've seen once. I liked the speeches given in the film, but I don't. It's been a long time. I've been meaning to go back and revisit it, and I've never seen Tora, Tora, Tora. Or maybe I did in film class, but I don't recall. But thank you for the question, Kenji. I can't rank all of those movies because a few of them I didn't see, man. Elliot Cecil says, and by the way, if I had to put one in there that you didn't, my number one WW2 movie is going to be Saving Private Ryan. Elliot Cecil says, does that mean we'll have a new Batman for the DCEU? Maybe, but not anytime soon. I think that would be the last thing they introduce if they do reboot the entire DCEU. Because we currently have sort of a Batman, and it's sort of working, and I think they want to at least do another movie with that. Elliot Cecil says, or possibly a Terry McGinnis. Yeah, I mean, you could have a Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond movie, and you could have had Michael Keaton, which I think was the plan going forward, but apparently that idea has been scrapped, but that could work. Why not have that? Because if it takes place in the future, then you can do anything you want in present day. So you could have a Batman Beyond movie. Itchy Elbow says, I miss the movie YouTube scene, 2009 to 2016. You and me both, man. That was a good time to be around on YouTube. I miss it. It was pure. Now it's hard to keep up on YouTube, man. There's just people that live and breathe YouTube to a point where I just can't. I just can't do it. Like nowadays on YouTube, if any bit of movie news comes out, within 33 seconds, there's 7,000 videos talking about it. And it just gets to a point where you're just like, and so yeah, it's hard to keep up. You know, it's just like there's people doing it now, and good for them. But I miss the days of like you said, 2009 to 2016. It was good. It was pure. You know, you could take your time making a video. And that's the thing. I think nowadays it's so competitive and so oversaturated that there's this certain level of competition, but sometimes the quality of the videos aren't always necessarily there. It's just people trying to crap out videos to be first or get more clicks. And I miss the days where you could watch a movie and you could sort of like, you know what, I'm gonna talk about this tomorrow or the next day. And that was okay. And now if you don't talk about a movie 3 weeks before it comes out, it's like, oh, you're late. You're late to the party, man. So I've went the opposite direction. Listen, if I can't be first, then I'm just going to be last. Okay? That's my motto nowadays. Jeff Fisher says, "Hey, big fan, man. When did you eat your first edible?" You know what? Something about gummies reminded me of Sour Patch Kids. So like probably like less than 2 years ago. And then after I did, I was like, wow, this is fun. I enjoy life more. And I'll tell you this, after I take an edible, I become way more empathetic, and I put myself in other people's shoes that I never did before. Like everyone, like I remember I ordered DoorDash one night, and the guy who delivered it, I was like, I have no clue who this guy is. Like, I don't know how his day is going, what's going on in his life. What is he thinking of? Why is he doing this? What was he thinking about when he picked up my food to hand it to me? You know, it's just like I put myself in these different situations. And the other benefit to this is when I watch movies after an edible, I literally watch a movie so intently like I've never seen it. It can be the 87th time I've seen that movie, but I will watch it like it's the first time I've ever seen it. It's like I'm watching it with a new set of eyeballs. It's a phenomenal, profound, out-of-body experience, and it truly makes the way of watching movies so much more superior. Like I pick up on all these little details that I've never noticed before. It's almost like I was blinded to it before. And sometimes you just got to let your mind relax, you know? The next one comes from Obetter Zaga, who says, "Love the intro. The drive gets me going. Laugh out loud." Well, thanks, man. Thank you for that. Oh, okay. So I read that so wrong. Love the intro to Drive. It gets me going. Laugh out loud. Okay. I thought you were talking about the intro to this live stream. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, but it gets you going, huh? No, the intro to Drive is phenomenal. I would say it's almost the best part of the entire film. Not to say I don't enjoy Drive. I do, but something about that opening scene to Drive, if I were to make a movie, it would be like that. It would be simple. It would be sort of like a very selective few shots, a lot of tracking shots, a lot of one-take shots. Just get immersed into that situation. I think that's the best way you can start a movie, and Drive did that perfect. It encapsulated exactly what it needed to. Yeah, I love the opening to Drive. It's like I could rewatch it on repeat over and over. Just the music, it's subtle, the timing of it all, the getaway scene, it's just like perfectly executed. And not to mention the way it looks. Just like the shots in Drive when you have the camera in the back seat of the car and you can see the dash and you can see him with his arm on the steering wheel with his eyes in the rearview mirror. Just the cinematography of that alone. Oh, I love the way that looks. And it doesn't look overdone. You know, it doesn't look like there's a lot of artificial lights to make the scene. It looks it looks realistic. You know, it looks real life. I wish more movies looked like that. Big Tony Rocket says, "Hey John, have you ever considered visiting the UK? I've got a nice well in my basement with your name on it. And for that very reason, I'm never coming there. No, I would like to go to the UK. I mean, I just don't know where to go in the UK. It's like I'd like to go there and check it out, eat some fish and chips or some shit, and then see Big Ben. But more importantly, I'd like to see, like, I don't know, castles, but maybe I might have to go to Germany or Scotland or something. I don't know. But I would like to go to the UK for sure, definitely. Roops C said nothing, but thanks, Roops, for the super chat. Elliot Cecil says, James Gunn talked with Batgirl directors of Batman Beyond ideas. Yeah, well, I mean, apparently if their movie wasn't that good enough to release in any aspect whatsoever, I don't know why we're going to them with ideas. But hey, who knows? Maybe Batgirl was a good movie, and maybe it was shelved for no reason. Who knows? Jeff Fisher says, you and Austin look like brothers. I could see the similar. I could see what you're coming. I could see where you're going with that. Yeah, ever so slightly, I could see that. Okay. And by the way, if you guys are YouTube members, feel free to chime in right now. Now is your time to shine, and I will go through as many questions as I possibly can for the next 5 or 10 minutes. EOTS is one of Tony Scott's worst movies. Why? What a random statement. But why do you say that? What was EOTS? What was EOTS? What does that stand for? I'm trying to think of like what Tony Scott movies EOTS. Not Days of Thunder, not Top Gun, not Pelham 123. Which movie are you talking about? Not Man on Fire. What is EOTS? Thoughts on the stop motion Pinocchio? I have not seen it yet. I've heard great things. Have not checked it out yet. Tony Scott's Unstoppable kind of sucked. Yeah, Unstoppable was terrible. That should not have been a movie. We already had Unstoppable. It was called Speed. We got one here from Dan. How's it going, Dan? Hey, John. I'm glad you joined the Edible Club. Every 3 months, I recommend magic mushrooms. It will connect you to the universe in a way you never have before. You know, mushrooms scare me, and I actually I've heard a theory that mushrooms came from a meteorite that hit Earth millions of years ago, and in a weird way, they're like another form of humanity. And why do mushrooms taste like meat when you eat enough of them? Think about that. Anyway. We got one here from DJ Run who says, who would you cast as Billy the Kid in a Young Guns remake? Tom Holland? Probably not. I think Tom Holland has been done to death at this point. Who would I cast as a young Billy the Kid? I want someone a little bit more scruffy than Tom Holland, a little gross to look at. I'd have to think about that. I just know if I make a Young Guns remake, Ben Foster is going to be in that movie. That's all I have to say about that. Rex says, plans for Christmas? Nothing too special. Probably just going over to the lady friend's house, maybe my mom's house, and keeping it simple. You know, I'm sort of becoming a recluse homebody these days. And if I have to take off my slippers to leave the house, I get very angry. Joseph Knowles says, are you sick of Chris Pratt's same guy in every movie and it's annoying? Yeah, the Chris Pratt thing is kind of wearing thin. He does sort of play the same everyday. Well, he seems like the everyday guy that's not really an everyday guy, but it's Hollywood's version of the everyday guy. That's what he plays. It's like Hollywood executives who have grown up with millions of dollars their whole lives and never actually worked a real job out in society or had to congregate with real people. They imagine what the everyday man is. And when they close their eyes in their $1 million mansions or when they drive their Ferraris, they imagine like everyday guy is Chris Pratt. That's what an everyday guy is. But it's nothing like an everyday guy. So the version of Chris Pratt's everyday guy feels like a disingenuous portrayal, doesn't it? Is it just me? I don't know. John, do you always podcast with other guests? If you're referring to my podcast, which is exclusively on Patreon and for YouTube members, yeah, I always co-host it with my pal Odin. In the future, I would like to occasionally have a guest on. Occasionally in the future, I'd like to have a guest on these every once in a while. I do like talking quite a bit by myself for a little bit, but sometimes it's nice to take a break and have a conversation. That would be nice. But the only thing is, it's so hard to schedule having a guest on, and it's such a technical hassle sometimes. So I'm not saying I'm opposed to it at any point, but I would like to have guests on my podcast and on this. Yes. Mikkel Jensen, thanks for the super chat. No question over there, Mikkels. Or is it Mikkel or Mikkel? I'm going to call you Mikkel. I like Mikkel. Obetter Zaga says, would a Gremlins movie work for today's audience like a dark new reboot version? I don't know if general audiences want to see a Gremlins movie. Do I think you can make a really cool movie that has like dark humor in it for today and people would enjoy it? Yeah. Could I see it being a Netflix movie or something? Probably more likely. MKF30 says, have you watched Wednesday and did you ever have a binky when you were little, like Linus and his blanket or Slash on his tree? I did. I'm sure when I was little, I had a binky, a little thing you sucked on, a little nub you sucked on. Yes, when I was younger, I did, but at a very young age, I got rid of that, I'm sure. Let me tell you something about me. Ever since I was a kid, and you know how some kids like suck on their thumbs and stuff like that? I always, even since like maybe I was 4 years old, maybe 5, I remember thinking how disgusting that was. I was like, wait, you're going to put your hand in your mouth and suck it? Even people like lick their fingers after they eat. I go, I can't do it. I just know how disgusting my phalanges are, and I'll never I don't want to put my fingers in my own mouth. No matter if I wash them in bleach, I just know I'll never truly get them clean enough. So no, I never had a binky or a fooler as a kid. Or really like a stuffed animal or a blanket I clung on to. I really didn't cling on to anything like that. I mean, I had all of those things, but I never carried them around with me. Isn't that weird? Max Nugenbauer says, enemy of the state is what EOTS stands for. Okay, sorry. I never think of enemy of the state ever. I never think of that movie because I don't think you should either. It was a movie that came out in 1998. Why ever watch it again? It was okay. It was okay, but it was so contrasty looking. And it's okay, I get it. He's being hunted by the CIA. I don't after 5 minutes of it happening, I didn't care anymore. I vaguely remember it. DJ Ron says, what does the lady friend do for a living? She is a teacher. Bruce Cook says, Chris Pratt equals Ryan Reynolds equals Chris Pine equals Taylor Kitsch. Okay, I could see that. Taylor Kitsch, not so much. Can anyone be on your podcast? I mean, what do you mean by anyone? I like to co-host or podcast with people that make other videos. Because sometimes you gotta have a quick-witted conversation sometimes. So I like people who sort of already talk for a living to do it, but anything's possible, I suppose. Kinji says, would you see a Home Alone movie around adult Kevin and his kids, or see a prequel around the Wet Bandits and how they came to be? I think the sequel would be the best way to go. I mean, if you could have an old Macaulay Culkin show up with some kids, that'd be pretty awesome. I don't know how that movie hasn't been greenlit somewhere, somehow, some way. But I would rather see the sequel than a prequel to Wet Bandits. And plus, you're going to have to recast the Wet Bandits with 2 other actors. So what do you, I don't want to see that. It'd just be some shitty, cheap Disney Plus show made for 8-year-olds. Like, they wouldn't have the adult humor or quality tone of the original Home Alone movies. There's no way. How about a prequel movie about the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2? And we can talk about why she wanted to start living in bird shit. Jeff Fisher says, drink some Mountain Dew, man, for old time's sakes. Yeah, occasionally I get some Diet Mountain Dew. I just haven't in a while. Jeff Fisher also says, what's in your parents' basement now that you're gone? Just sadness. Just sadness. That's it. Not much. My old bedroom is like a guest bedroom, and out in the other room in the basement, I think there's like a couch. So not much is going on over there right now, man. And sometimes I go back to my old bedroom at my parents' house, which is very small, and the ceiling is like this tall because it's in the basement. And I go back and I'm like, how did I live in this for so long? It's crazy to think about. Itchy Elbow says, picking a leading man for an action movie, Jai Courtney, Sam Worthington, or Joe Kinnaman. Oh my God, man. Sam Worthington and Jai Courtney are almost similar when it comes to acting ability, in my opinion. I think Jai Courtney is more believable as an action star. Joel Kinnaman, no thanks. I did see him do stand-up once. I guess I have to go with Jai Courtney, even though I don't want to. Bruce Cook says, hey, John, since you put on your orange specs, can we call you Elton John? You can call me anything you want. These are technically Nicolas Cage glasses. Just putting it out there. These are legitimately the glasses he wore in the Nicolas Cage movie. Whatever that was called. MKF30 says, cool. I see. Curious. Have you ever had the beer bug? And if so, how many days did it take for you to recover? What did you do since I'm battling it right now? Thanks. Yeah, I had some COVID. So it sort of sucked. I remember getting it. And the first day or two, I had a slight fever. If you go back and watch my Ghostbusters Afterlife, no, let me correct that. If you go back and watch my Venom Let There Be Carnage review, that was the first day I had it when I was shooting that review. I could feel like I felt a little bit sweaty. I felt slightly warm, but I felt okay. And then about 2 days after that, I got like this really bad headache. It almost felt like my brain was boiling for about 10 days. I just had a fever. Like, I just felt really feverish and like uncomfortable. And I would sweat through my sheets at night. I'd sweat through everything that I was wearing. I had to take like 4 cold showers a day. So for about 2 weeks, it sucked ass. And then after that, I started to feel a little bit better, like not as bad, but I never had like a stomach flu or anything like that. It was just really a fever that lasted about 2 weeks. And then it took like another week after that to sort of like feel better. But I remember I lost my taste. I lost my smell. I think, how much weight did I lose? I think I lost like 12, 13 pounds by the end of it. And I got skinny looking for like a month or two after that. So yeah, it sucked. But the good news, I didn't have any like breathing issues whatsoever. I didn't even cough. I didn't even get like a runny nose. It was just a fever. Obed Arzaga says, Den of Thieves was surprisingly entertaining. I didn't like Den of Thieves. I tried to like it, and I thought I would because I like heist slash type movies, and it just felt like the poor man's Heat. It just felt like the really poor version of Heat. Will you ever be obsessed with the gym again? I went 2 times this week. Will I be obsessed with it? No. Do I enjoy going occasionally? Yes. Does it define who I am as a person anymore? Not so much. I'm just going to maintain. That's what I go to the gym for. Just to maintain. Just to keep my body proportionate with my head. That's why I go to the gym. Let me flex those pecs for you though. All right. Oh yeah, by the way, I blame Venom Let There Be Carnage for the reason I got sicker than I was. I'm just putting it out there, Sony. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up this live show here. But I do want to say thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for watching. It was fun to talk about movies for the last couple of hours, and we will do another one of these in a few more days. We got one here. Bruce Cook says, John, when was the last leg day? Probably 2012. Josh Riviera says, John, do you think they should bring back Shia to Transformers? I personally would enjoy it. I think I'm good. I'm good on that. I don't think he would ever come back. He seems completely different now, so I don't think he's coming back. Roop C says Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Thoughts? I think it's going to happen at WrestleMania. It's the biggest match you could ever set up, especially since WrestleMania will be in Hollywood this year. So I think The Rock versus Roman Reigns will be a cool kick-ass match. But it's like, what do? You can't have The Rock win a championship. Then it's like, okay, I'm the champion, but it's like he doesn't need it. But you want Roman Reigns to lose, so it's like, what do? I don't know. Or does Roman Reigns beat The Rock, and then the next night he loses both championships on the second night of WrestleMania? Anything's possible, I guess. Jeff Fisher says, you guys, okay, I'll answer the remaining questions because you guys put the super chats in here, and I don't want to leave you hanging. Jeff Fisher says, John, 2022, I went to the gym 2 times this week, 2013, John. Angry. Oh, yes. But let me tell you something about going to the gym all those years. I built a foundation and a base of muscle, and I have muscle memory that if I go to the gym within like 20 minutes, I get a nice big pump. I'm swollen up. I look twice as big as I do right now, and I look proportionate. Like I'm good. I built the foundation throughout my 20s to withstand my 30s. You know, without a shirt on, I still look like I work out, and that's all that counts. Edward Nito. How's it going, Edward? What's up, John? I hope you're doing well. Have you ever seen the movie Dutch with Ed O'Neill? I think the movie is out of print because I can't find it anywhere. I love the movie Dutch, another John Hughes film that no one talks about with Ed O'Neill, and it has the what's-his-face kid who went on to, and he grew up to look like a completely different person. I forget the actor's name. He was in like the National Lampoon's Vegas movie. He was in Can't Hardly Wait. But yeah, I love that film. I love a good road trip movie. And I had a stepdad growing up, and that relationship with him and Ed O'Neill sort of reminded me of that ever so slightly. Except we never shot each other in the ass with a BB gun, though I'm still waiting for that to happen. But yeah, Dutch was a great movie. And it is out of print. So if you find that stuff, keep it, sell it on eBay. Josh says, thanks for the 2 streams this week, John. I deliver, so I appreciate it. Well, thank you, man. And by the way, guys, I am working on making this a audio-only podcast, so you don't have to look at my stupid face. So I am working on making this a podcast that you can truly just stream it, download it, whatever you want to do. So look out for that at some point. I'm still working on it. I found a platform I want to go with, but I'm trying to finalize the details. Goals for 2023. Okay, this will be the last question. Goals for 2023. Consistency. More videos. I have a list of videos I've wanted to make for a long time, and I need to get those out. You know, it's like it's time to make those videos. So definitely those. And before the end of the year, there's a few videos I'm going to do for you guys. There's going to be a couple of tour videos. With my new Flick Cave. I was really trying to finalize this and get it all done, and my theater room is almost done. So once I get the new Flick Cave and the theater room completed, I'll give you guys tour videos of those. I know some of you have been asking to see that for a while now, so I'm trying to work on those. Bruce Cook says, John, how is your right eye? It's okay. It's blurry all the time. It's constantly blurry. It'll never get better. So sometimes reading small text on a live stream like I'm doing right now is pretty tedious, not going to lie to you. So, but it could be worse, right? All right, guys, I am out of energy and I'm out of time. But most importantly, I just want to say thanks once again for joining me for another live show. As always, guys, stay safe. Thanks for watching. Before you go, show it to the man. Give the video a like. Show YouTube you're not afraid anymore. Stick it up to the algorithm. Let them know the shit you want to see. All right? So if you can hit that stupid like button, please do so. It's much appreciated. Because for some odd reason, that accreditates me as a person on YouTube. So click the like button if you want to. As always, guys, take care. Oh, the tribute video. Yes, I have a tribute video. I have to fix the copyrighted music in it. That's the only holdup. So I'm gonna make it happen. It'll be really good. It's heartwarming and moving. All right, take care, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the questions, and I'll see you guys next time.